Right, we are back here in New Indian Express for yet another episode of Fours and Sixes, and this time ahead of the India versus England Women's World Cup match. Let's break it down a bit on what has gone wrong for India in the last two games and the way forward and where they stand in terms of the top four race in this particular episode. So let's start with what happened against Australia. By the time India posted 330, there was a mini collapse in the last, 10 overs where they lost 5 wickets for some 29 runs in the 5 overs of swords. And it was sort of a par total, but par was never going to be enough against Australia. In this Australian team, whom have lost only twice to India in the last 8 years, and not to mention the fact that India were fielding only five primary bowlers. So it all, added up to it. India tried to take the game deep as much as possible. There was an inspiring fielding effort from Jemima Rodriguez, and then Kranti Gaud bowled really well, and then Deepti Sharma bowled really well. And of course, Amanjot Kaur chipped in the late overs as well. But they dragged it as much as possible, but in the end, it was just inevitable that Australia were going to run away with the contest, especially after the batting power play where Alisa Healy and Phoebe Litchfield sort of took the contest away from the Indian seamers. And Healy, as of course, as always, brought out her best against India, 142. And it sort of for a moment there was a perception of sorts that India were in the game, they were in control of it, but that was never the case. To be very honest, the kind of depth that Australian team has and the kind of bowling depth that India has, they have quality bowlers, but they're playing only five. It was never going to be an even contest, and that was so evident as it is a interesting phase in a way where same with South Africa as well. There were moments where it seemed like India were in control, where India are going to win, where India are taking the proceedings along, taking the game deep for an inevitable choke. But in the end, that was never the case. Nadine de Klerk was brilliant against India, and same moves for Australia as well. They eventually finished, dotted the i's and crossed the t's, took 2 points, and then went back home. For India, they are now in a very tricky position. They have two wins and two losses. They have three games: England, New Zealand, and Bangladesh. They have to win at least two of the three, and they are facing England in Indore. And they have a lot of questions to answer as well. Uh, Skipper Harmanpreet Kaur has not been scoring runs. The big scores have not been coming. She has not made an impact with the bat in this World Cup so far. Same goes for Jemima Rodriguez as well, who's yet to win matches on her own with the bat, who's yet to become the match winner with the bat, especially in this format. At the top, Pratika has started to score, and Smithy has finally found some form against Australia, but that was a belter of a batting track. Only one can only hope that she continues the form in Indore against another good batting surface is expected, but there were also some showers as we record this on Friday. But Harlin Deol is sort of a loophole at number three. And then, of course, there is a question about Pratika Rawal's strike rate. And then, of course, the fact that Kaur and Jemima Rodriguez has still yet to win matches on their own in this World Cup. Jemima is still yet to win matches on her own with the bat in ODIs. In general, she's come a long way in the last 3 years, but she's yet to prove herself as a match winner by her own batting performance, especially against stronger opponents. Australia was a good chance to do that, where South Africa was a good chance to do that. She has been getting out of left arm spinners. Against Australia, she got out to a back of the arm slower ball from Annabelle Sutherland, and Australia game provided the chance to push the final innings with Richa Ghosh and take India to 370, maybe, which could have given them the extra 20 runs to defend against this Australian team. But that was not the case. It is all adding up to an enormous pile of pressure as India get ready to take on England in Indore this Sunday. They've been practicing for the last 4 days or so, but they have been keeping things close. They have been very rigid with regards to their top five, and they have been sort of reactionary in the way they have operated. Whether it is the discussion about dot balls or strike rates. Head coach Amol Mazumdar said that they spoke had an elongated discussion about batting approach after the South Africa game, and then of course they say after the Australia loss, he said there will be a discussion on whether they'll have to play six bowlers, and it should not take a loss in a crucial tournament like this against an opponent like Australia for them to discuss such a topic. And also, it is an home World Cup. They know this was coming. This is a stage of execution, whereas they have been uh, catching up. They have been they've kept saying that their perfect game is yet to come, which is still yet to come. But Australia was probably the closest to what was a perfect game for India, but it was not enough. So it makes them may one question a lot of tactics. This team management, both the captain Harmanpreet Kaur and the coach has employed in this World Cup, and which also means with three games to go, it'll be interesting to see whether they make a lot of changes. Captain Harmanpreet Kaur said that there will not be a lot of knee-jerk reactions after just two losses. Uh, when asked about the five bowler strategy, but what it is doing is that it means that they can play only two seamers, including Amanjot Kaur, and then three spinners. Uh, Whether they could bring in another Radha Yadav or Arundhati Reddy based on who the conditions, where this extra seamer and extra, you know, uh, spin option in Radha Yadav. It would add the cushion to their bowling attack, but albeit compensating the batting depth a little bit. In the only possible answer to bring in such an option is by making way for at number three and maybe promoting someone like DT Sharma at number three and be flexible with it. But again, they have reiterated once and again, time and again, that they don't want to tinker too much. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, and they're going up against a familiar opponent they have beaten in bilaterals. That is the thing with bilaterals and World Cup. India have beaten India have beaten New Zealand in bilaterals. India have beaten South Africa in bilaterals. India have beaten England in bilaterals in the last 18 months. But none of it accounted for, as South Africa World Cup pressure got to them. South Africa eventually won that match. And same goes for Australia. They have beaten only twice since 2017, one in New Chandigarh, one in Mackay 4 years ago. So there is a lot of pressure mounting on this Indian team in a home World Cup. Another group stage exit could be very, very devastating. So they will have to come up with the perfect combination in Indore and take it forward to Navi Mumbai, and where they will play New Zealand and Bangladesh, and the semi-final should they qualify as well, which is also the venue for the final as well on November 2. But that is still far, far away for India. And the other teams who are running the run race for the top four at this point is Australia, a sure shot finishing in the top two. England, a sure shot finishing in the top three. It comes down to India, South Africa, and New Zealand. South Africa at this point have a massive upper hand against India in terms of making it to the top three, and it comes down to India and New Zealand become who will become the fourth team. New Zealand are currently capped in Sri Lanka, where they have one more game, which against Pakistan, but again the rain has played a massive dampener in the Colombo leg of the World Cup, and should there be another washout for New Zealand in Colombo, then it comes down to India, New Zealand, and then England playing New Zealand in their final league game. So there is a lot of permutation combination to work out, and a lot of things, races tightening up and a lot to unravel in the next week or so. But for India, the focus will be primarily on India versus England. They have to beat this Natsivar Brunt led side. Uh, to have a breather of sorts, to put the losses behind and go to Mumbai in a happy space and then take it from there on. Another loss in Indore against this England side, which they have beaten in England. Again, they have an extremely long batting lineup. They have multiple all rounds to compensate. Alice Capsey, Charlie Dean, Sophie Eccleston, again another lethal left arm spinner, and they have quality pacers as well. So this is a top England side. They have Heather Knight back, and then they have Natsir Brunt hitting the form. So India will have to bring their A game. This is not just another bilateral series. They'll have to do a lot more than what they did in England to beat England in Indore. And if things don't go their way on Sunday, there will be a lot of pressure on India, more than what it is right now, and there will be a lot of permutation combinations need to be worked out, and there will be, of course, repercussions as well. And it could be very, very costly as well. But for that, we'll have to wait and see what happens on Sunday. We will be covering the match from Chennai, and we will be here after the match. And I will be traveling to Mumbai for the India New Zealand and the India Bangladesh match, and the semi-final and the final as well. But for now, all the ices are on India versus England in Indore, and Harmanpreet and co will be very, very keen to put the two losses behind and get back to winning ways. Do stay tuned to the New Indian Express. Until then, this is Gomesh signing off. Thank you for watching.